Ruvain, we are Sefer Maamarim, Belukit, volume 6. We are at chapter 6. Is that right, Moshe? 6? Paragraph 6?
To explain the above?
Zion? We're in Zion?
Vav.
Oh, Vav already.
Yeah, could you lower down the screen a little more?
Sure.
Oh, you want to see?
I want to see Tuvia and Yoni and you, everybody. Shalom, those are there. Everyone's here. Okay.
Everybody brave.
Let's continue. Okay, guys, let's go. I want to finish this. The idea is Sha'amunah di Yisrael. We're talking about the faith that a Jew has. It is in a manner that he has self-sacrifice for his faith. Primarily, this refers to the level of Emunah. We explained 2 levels.
Vav. Indian Vav.
We're starting Vav?
We're starting Vav. We're done Vav.
Yeah. Second line of Vav. This refers to the Emunah from the perspective of the essence of the soul. So, the Emunah the Emunah that only is referred to that the soul sees, right? We spoke about the faith coming from seeing and the faith coming from the essence. So he says, the Emunah from seeing, Agamshi b'toikev godel, although it's very powerful, skip the brackets. Mikol mokem, nevertheless, kiven she'emunah shaloi hi mitzat siba, since the faith, I told you this by heart yesterday, so I'm just reading it inside. Since the faith is caused by something, mitzat zeh sheroyeh, it's caused because he sees God. It's not associated with his essence. So it's not absolute that he will have self-sacrifice. If your faith comes from any level of understanding, including a deep understanding as though you see the issue and it's clear to you, it's wonderful, but it still doesn't mean you can jump into the fire. And the emunah, where a Jew is ready to jump into the fire for God or do whatever it is for Hashem and never give away his faith and display it, it comes from when one's emunah is ingrained in their essence. And it comes from their essence. It doesn't come because they perceive God in any way, shape, or form. Look at the last words of this paragraph. It is impossible to deny God. You know, there is, I accept God. Listen to this, Yehuda. I accept, ani moide ani lefonecha. And then there is, efshar lichpor. I cannot deny. Tuvia, the idea of not being able to deny is much deeper in the person than the idea is, I acknowledge you, God. I acknowledge you, God. Moda ani lefonecha comes from a perception, from an idea, from a clarity. That's great. Right? When you wake up in the morning, you open your eyes, you say moda ani, because, I realize I'm alive. That's already a realization. There is something that's even beyond the realization, and that is, you are God, because your body is here. So, if you, that's who made you, God, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So there's something that someone told me. He lived a grandson of the Slonim Rebbe. He lived in Meir Shorim, and there was a Chassid, a Chabad Chassid, the Slonim Chassid, whatever, and he took care of him. He was an older man. He moved to Eretz Yisrael. He lived in America. He came from Russia, moved to America, and then he went back to Eretz Yisrael, and he passed away in Eretz Yisrael. So the Slonim grandson who took care of him because he was an old man, he told me that when he would sit next to his bed, and when he get up in the morning, he would like jump out and he says, "I'm alive." I'm alive. It's like, I'm alive. The sensation, Boaz, that you're alive is even deeper than the sensation of moda. That's what we're talking about here. And it's from that perspective, I can't deny God. Why can't I? Because I'm not myself. Who do I belong to? I belong to Hashem. So even if I want to deny him, God forbid, I can't. It just doesn't go. It doesn't work. That's the deepest level of Mesiras Nefesh, where you're so bound, you're so connected, it's as though Your free will has been stripped from you, although it hasn't. But better said, your free will is so imbued with the sensation that you are God's product that it feels as though you can't move to the right or the left, and you have to, and you display your faith. Next paragraph. Well, Pisa Yesh Levayim. What? Yeah.
You're a Merkava. Is it
yes.
the same idea?
Yes. Very good. Well, Pisa Yesh Levayim Masha Kavik Shosha Ba Maamar, and this will explain what we learned in the Maamar. The Moshe Huraya Mehemna. Moshe is the faithful shepherd, skip the brackets, parentheses, who gam benegel l'roi Yisrael shebechol dor. The previous Rebbe in his discourse emphasizes it doesn't only apply to Moshe, it applies to every Jewish leader who is analogous to Moshe Rabbeinu in every generation. And he says, "Is pashtusa de Moshe shebechol dor shehei mechaskim es emunah." These Jewish leaders, they support the emunah within every Jew. Sheyamdu b'mesiras nefesh, that we Jews should stand strong with self-sacrifice. B'kiyam ha'Torah mitzvahs. The fact that Moshe feeds the emunah, skip the parentheses, by giving a Jew das, real deep knowledge of God, in God. We learned earlier, Moshe causes the faith of a Jew to be internalized. It's Moshe's accomplishment, right? That's why you need a Moshe Yoni. A Moshe knocks into our head that faith is deep within us, not just superficial. And the fact that the leaders of the generation, they support the emunah in every generation within those Jews of the generation who she'emunah di Yisrael tiyeh ba'ofen de b'mesiras nefesh. What does it mean, the internalization of faith? That the faith should be ready to have mesiras nefesh. If the faith is not ready to mesiras nefesh, there's something lacking. There was a chassid, Rabbi Avram Drizin, Rabbi Avram Ayar, who I knew was one of my mashpiyim. And he would say he was one of the people who made a covenant with the previous Rebbe that do or die, they're going to spread Yiddishkeit in Russia after Stalin shut everything down. So he would say a famous line. He would always say, any Jew and any chassid, he was talking really to his friends, the Chasidim, he said, any chassid that's not ready to allow themselves to be slaughtered by the neck is not a real chassid. You imagine? That's at that time in Russia in the 20s and 30s, that was the mission. It's either you're ready to be slaughtered, and with God's help you won't be slaughtered, or you're not really connecting. You're a great guy, you're a great Jew and everything, but if you're not ready, that's what he would say to them. So don't tell me you learn a lot of Torah and you daven for hours and you give a lot of tzedakah. Are you willing to go on the front lines? Many people will do all kinds of great things, but they're not willing to go on the front lines. It's scary. We don't want to do that. So mesiras nefesh, the Rebbe says here, what does Moshe Rabbeinu do? He gives a Jew the emunah in an internalized way, to the point that if it should be that you need mesiras nefesh, you're ready to stand up to the challenge without any issue at all. That's an amazing accomplishment that we get from Moshe if we allow ourselves to be Moshe's men. If you don't want to be Moshe's men, no problem. You're on your own. If you go and you sign up to the Peace Corps of Moshe Rabbeinu, and you say, I'm dedicated to you because you represent HaKadosh Baruch Hu's will, and as a tzaddik, and as a rebbe, and as a leader, and I know that your directive is coming from on high, then you're in a very, very special space. Okay? Everyone's good and everyone's fine, but this is a very different idea. That's what we're learning. Let's continue. Based on this, we could say the primary idea, Yoni, of Moshe Rabbeinu being the faithful shepherd, it is that he feeds the faith itself. Not that he makes faith be real faith. You hear that, Yehuda? He makes emunah be quality emunah. In other words, there's second grade emunah, and there's first choice emunah. Moshe Rabbeinu makes it possible for the emunah by a Jew to be first choice, and he explains. Skip the parentheses. The faith should not be only superficial, but rather from the essence. And the fact that Moshe brings this choicest emunah into the internal aspect of the Jew who Titzave, it's a result from this. It's because he sustains faith itself. In other words, for faith to be in the Jew in an internalized way, the faith itself has to be quality A faith. Moshe, you following? If the faith is not quality A but quality B, even when it goes deep into the Jew, it's not going to have the result of being ready to stand on the front, because the content, the quality of the faith is not the ultimate quality. It's choice B versus choice. It's tier 2 versus tier 1. So that's what the Rebbe says here. What does Moshe Rabbeinu do? In other words, when we say, listen to this, in Chazal, when the rabbis, the sages say, Moshe is called the loyal shepherd, Raya Mehemna. We've all heard that. Normally, what that means is that why is he called the loyal shepherd? Because he takes care of us, the sheep. He's concerned about us. He's concerned about the flock. What we're learning now is another interpretation, a deeper interpretation. He's called the faithful shepherd because he shepherds faith with faith to be the ultimate faith. It's not referring to us. It's referring to the emunah. Raya Mehemne. He is the Raya, the shepherd of faith, not for us, but for faith itself. That that the emunah should be that quality of emunah. Well, Boaz, are you following or are you in left field? Where are you?
No, I'm with you.
No. I'm saying, do you understand this idea, or you have, or not? I want to make sure everyone understands this.
What you were just saying, Raya, what's the lesson?
Raya Mehemna. It's Aramaic for.
We translate it as the faithful shepherd, but you're saying Raya Mehemna. He's the shepherd of faith itself.
Right.
In the Lashon.
Right.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's what the Rebbe says it over here. In other words, this is a nuance that he adds in this Maamar. You don't find, this is not the normal way it's explained in Chazal and even in Chasidus, Moshe, right? This is not the regular way. This is the Chidush, a novelty that the Rebbe said in 1981, and we're learning it now, that he is the Raya of faith. He makes faith into faith. If you think about this, it's such a. And we saw this with the Rebbe. I want to just tell you, thousands and thousands of people came to him, all kinds of people, and wrote and spoke. And you could say that not only did he give a Jew encouragement and build a Jew and help, but he brought out the deepest and best within the Jew, because he brought out the deepest and best of what faith is, of what Jewishness is. Until the Rebbe, we kind of understood Jewishness is a page of Gemara and a page of Chasidus, or a beard or no beard. The Rebbe said, no, it's not about your beard or no beard. It's not about your black Gemara or your. That's all very important, and there's obligations and there's halachas, absolutely, but it's the quality. The quality needs to be one that's totally God. That is a unique aspect. And again, it came in different forms. It came, I just read yesterday, a 13-year-old boy from Afula wrote to the Rebbe that he's having a bar mitzvah. You're going back probably for 50, 60 years. And he asks for a bracha for his bar mitzvah. And then he also asked the Rebbe a question, why don't you come to Eretz Yisrael? And that's a question that many people asked. But this 13-year-old on his own wrote this. And the Rebbe answered him. Usually a bar mitzvah boy, the letter which the Rebbe responded, giving a bracha to a bar mitzvah boy, was a standard letter that he signed his name to, but it was pretty much a standard bracha. Here, there is an additional P.S. And the Rebbe says, take for example, he says, a doctor or another professional, if he parks himself and places himself in a place where he's not needed, he's wasting his knowledge, he's wasting his abilities. A person needs to put themselves where they'll be used most, where they'll be needed most, where they can make the biggest difference. That's all the Rebbe says, and he doesn't say about himself, but the answer is understood. That being in America, he felt that again, I don't know what he felt that he's able to give most of himself to Jews and Judaism being there. I think he was referring to, because he said this to other rabbis, the famous story of the young Israel rabbi. It's on a Living Torah Gem video where he wanted to make Aliyah. He retired from his congregation in America. And he said, the Rebbe asked him, and so where are you thinking of settling? So he said, we're at Yerushalayim, right? If you're going to make Aliyah ready to, after you retire, most people want Yerushalayim, if you can afford the real estate, even to rent a place there. Anyway, so the Rebbe says, really, Yerushalayim? What are you going to do in Yerushalayim? Oh, I'm going to teach, and I'm going to this, that. He says, really? They just have so many teachers. You think they need you as a teacher? And the Rebbe said to him, what about, going to Tel Aviv? What about going to another neighborhood, another area, another city where you are more needed? Okay. He didn't listen. He wasn't a chassid. He did what he had to do, what he wanted to do. And years later, his son says over everything I'm telling you. His son says, my father had a miserable time in Yerushalayim because no one looked at him. No one called on him. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry is teaching, and there's many Talmidei Chachamim. Forget about real Talmidei Chachamim. Everyone's teaching. Hebrew, English, French, Russian, you name it, you got a teacher. So who's looking at you? So he was miserable. And it was only after he decided to move, I think, to Tel Aviv or another city where he found himself teaching and he found happiness. So the son, said that the Rebbe's words to my father were so precise and accurate. This you can hear on online. So why am I saying this? Because we're learning here about that a tzaddik, a Rebbe, a Moshe Rabbeinu, builds faith itself. In order for the faith to be properly applied, it needs to be that quality of faith. So when one had an experience of either writing or communicating to the Rebbe or meeting with him, or today learning his Torah and identifying with his message as a tzaddik, it's a way of making the right choice. You make the choice. You have free will, right? The Rebbe didn't tell that person you can't, or you could stop him. Everyone has free will. You just remember that. Everyone has free will, because that's what Hashem says is most essential for humanity, and especially for the Jewish people, to have bchira chafshit, free will. No one's going to tell you you can't make the choice. But someone who is smart, who doesn't want to have tzaras or have less tzaras and have more happiness and go, why go the crooked way? In Yiddish, there's an expression, "Favos gehst du auf den krummen Weg, ad du kennst gehen gleich." Why do you go on the crooked path if you can go straight? You want to get to a certain place, right? So why do you have to go this way, this way, zigzag, in and out, and have police give you tickets, and make crashes, and make go into the potholes? Just go the straight way, right? What do we know? Derech haruch tzara. It might be a longer way, but you'll get there quicker because it's a straight way. You go on the freeway, you don't have the red lights. Yeah, there are traffic jams, but it's the freeway, right? You go through the lights. So you have today the Waze and the Google Maps, and it takes you right and left. But just know, it's happened that I tried that once up in the Tveria area, and I went through some Arab villages, and luckily, I made it through. I had no idea where I'm going. I'm following a machine. Instead, why did I do that? Because I was on the road back, and there was on this road, I forget what number, there was such traffic. I said, I ain't waiting this traffic, and I made a U-turn in middle of the road, and put on the GPS and followed it. And little did I know, it took me through Arab villages. I have no idea where, what. I really haven't until today. But all I saw was Arabs. So sometimes a shortcut is not the answer. So when a tzaddik tells someone, you're thinking of living in Jerusalem, he's telling you maybe you should go to Tel Aviv or somewhere else, use your cup, use your seichel, and understand that it's the quality of emunah that he's building in you to be able to do that. And this is where we as Jews need to identify with tzaddikim. Let's continue. Okay. And he says, okay, now the amshachas emunah b'pnimius b'das or yedei gili yiskash zatzu that's on the shama. V'alpi zeh yesh leima. He says, the bezeh shabadoyna shehutzchum b'sidas nefesh b'poy. Listen to this. This is phenomenal. Those generations where Mesiras Nefesh, right? Hanukkah, Purim, Holocaust, Russia, those generations that required actual self-sacrifice. Look what it says in the Mesiras Nefesh B'Poyel. Chisku Raya Yisrael. Skip the leaders of the Jewish people at the time. They supported us. They gave the Jews of the time the koach, the strength, to go forward with self-sacrifice. Wow. The idea of the faith being the real faith, it expressed itself more than in Moshe himself. Why? This is also a big novelty. When you have to display Mesiras Nefesh in actuality, it's greater than all talk and all philosophy. So therefore, when the Jews in Russia and the Jews during the Holocaust and the Spanish Inquisition and Purim and Hanukkah and all those times when we had to display Mesiras Nefesh, that level of self-sacrifice is even greater than the emunah that Moshe himself has. Because the emunah that Moshe himself has is still yet in ideology form, in philosophy form. It's not in the trenches. When you got to put those boots on and march in those boots in the schmutz, those boots are made for walking and walking all over you. Right? You guys know that song probably, right? How do I know that song? Because in 8th grade in Lubavitch Yeshiva, an English teacher brought in a movie that played that, and look how it still hasn't left my brain. That's the impact. Look, I'm almost 60, and this was when I was, let's say, 10th, 11th grade. I was 18 or so. It's still in your cup. That's how music has an impact and visual things. Remember, be careful what you hear and careful what you see, because it ain't going out till your eyes close and you go 6 feet under. Anyway, not to make anyone feel bad, because we're living forever, right? The Lubavitchers say we're living to not 120, to 180. Mashiach is coming, and we're going to live forever. But it might be a short time of death, because we have to resurrect from the earth and come out. But anyway, the point being, all kidding aside, is that Mesiras Nefesh is the greatest thing, and that's why the Rebbe loved the soldiers and the foolish people from the right and the left, and including from many Orthodox groups and from groups, they had complaints, and the Rebbe loved and sent Hanukkah money and sent his Hasidim to go to the fronts to dance, put on tefillin, give a donut to a soldier standing in Lebanon or, on the border over there or wherever else. Why? Because it's Mesiras Nefesh B'Poyel. You're sitting in Yerushalayim, you're sitting in Borough Park, you're sitting wherever in Los Angeles, and you're a big talker. I want to see you go out to the front with a gun, with boots and a trench coat, and face your enemy and hide. And when they shoot, and they come so close to knocking you out, God forbid, and all that. So Mesiras Nefesh is the highest form of commitment to Hashem. Now, does it mean to say all of us should put ourselves in on the front? No, because A, we're not made for it physically. B, that's not our role. But we have to understand that those people that are on the front, and I don't mean just physically fighting, but those people who are investing in the Jewish people, they are, by bringing Eden back to Yiddishkeit and teaching and showing kindness and putting themselves aside, those people are the Mesiras Nefesh people. And the Rebbe says here in the Maamar, in a way, they have even more emunah than Moshe himself. Big Moshe Rabbeinu, the leader, the one who makes it possible for us to display this, yet who displays it in actuality? The people Bepoel Mamish. This is what we learned. V'hine Yedua, chapter 6-7 now. It's known, Mesiras Nefesh Bepoel Tel Mitzvah Kol Yisrael Hu Haisem Purim. All Jews on Purim had Mesiras Nefesh. Mesiras Nefesh, the Mesiras Nefesh of Chanukah, Haisem B'Matasyo, one of they had it. Mesiras Nefesh B'Manazeres Haman, but conversely, the Mesiras Nefesh of Haman's times, Purim, Haisem B'Chol Yisrael, all Jews had it. It says in Medrash that Mordechai was equivalent in his generation. He was equal, to Moshe during his generation. Even though Moshe's extension is in each generation. So what makes Mordechai more special? What's the answer? Why is Mordechai singled out? Shahamaylas the Mordechai HaYehudi. It was because this individual, Mordechai, in his generation, he was obviously known to everyone. He is the leader. So in other words, yes, there are other leaders during other generations, but you don't know about them. But here was one man that everyone knew. Comparable to Moshe, who brought this level of das to every Jew in the generation. Right? It says that Moshe's generation was called the generation of knowledge, Dor Deya. Why? Because he brought das, he brought knowledge to the Jewish people in his generation. Skip the brackets. We might say, our Rebbe is saying this. He's saying, the fact that my father-in-law brings the Medrash, that Mordechai in his generation is equal to Moshe in his generation, he made the same ruling about himself, my father-in-law. By quoting it, he was kind of alluding to himself. The Rebbe is saying that, the previous Rebbe, right? That what? Shuaraya mehemna begilui. That he is the loyal shepherd in a revealed way. Shekol anshe ador. That's a heavy statement. Only a Rebbe can say that. But that's what he says. That's it. It's saying Yiddish. Schwarz auf weiß, black on white. It's right here. Next, ois. Pisa yesh levayer. Kesher in Yonah, we can explain the connection to the posuk Vata Titzave. Shebetchila mevayis apirish vatzav is meyisol. First, we explain the meaning Vata Titzave Shemoshe Hu Mekasher Mechabes Bnei Yisrael. It is Moshe Rabbeinu that connects and binds Jews because he sustains the faith within the Jew. Well, and afterwards in the discourse of my father-in-law, he explains that even that also the leaders of every generation, just like Mordechai who supported the faith of Jews, Lamed Chazak, to stand strong, believing that Torah mitzvahs, learning Torah, doing mitzvahs. Well, because it's Lamoyer, and after this, he explains the meaning of the oil, the olives being crushed, grinded well. The fact that Moshe reveals the ultimate level of godliness in a Jew, called the illuminary, the Maamar, the source of light, it's through his extension in Golus, he arose within them the Mesiras Nefesh. Through this, it's the main revelation. Okay, let's continue because let's go on to no. I want to go to Tess. We quoted earlier a verse. The Jewish people received, right, during Purim, Kibel HaYehudim Eis Asher Echelu Lasos. We accepted upon ourselves what we began when at Aseres HaDibros. Boaz, right? Lasos midover bizman shelachri anes de Purim. Lasos midover bizman shelachri anes de Purim. This idea that the Medrash says we accepted upon ourselves during Purim what we began accepting when the Torah was given at Har Sinai. It's also according to the simple text. Okay, I'm skipping this paragraph, it's too complicated. Next paragraph. That's why I told Shmuel that this Maamar, to learn it every page and every line, it's complicated. Yeah. But we'll just learn what's this next paragraph is geschmack and understandable. Okay? Kuf Lamed Hey. This is the paragraph before paragraph 10, before Ois Yud. Okay, you have it? You have it now? Okay, the fact that we Jews are broken-hearted because we're in Golus, even though they have lots of material and spiritual matter, nevertheless, they're missing the soul, which is Mashiach, and we're in Golus, because the true will of every Jew, every Jew really wants that godliness should be apparent. I want to feel and see God, and I don't see it in my yacht, and I don't see it in my bowling alley, and I don't see it in my shul. So I am down. I know that you're providing for me, and it's all good. But where is Hashem? Why are we in Golus? Until that this idea that the Jew wants God to be apparent, touches his essence. The fact that godliness is not appearing during Golus, as it was when the Beis HaMikdash stood. Ubefrat, look at the next brackets, very important. Ubefrat, particularly when you contemplate on the Chazal, on the saying of the Rabbi Shomer Hazal, quote, listen to this. Kol mi shelei nivna Beis HaMikdash b'yomov. whoever has not seen and witnessed the rebuilding of the temple of the Beis HaMikdash during his days, harei zeh ki'ilu nechrav b'yamav. It's as though it's been destroyed during your lifetime. That's not Chasidus, it's not Kabbalah, it's not Musar. That's a Chazal. Omar Azal, 46. Yerushalmi, it's Yerushalmi and a Medrash Tillim.
Tisha B'Av, Rabbi, we say it for Tisha B'Av, right?
Maybe we say it, well, not exactly that, not that language, but that concept. So, 1 second. So, here it is. We have everything. You have Gashmis, you have Ruchnias, but the person is bothered. Where's the Mashiach? Where's the Shchinas and Golos? And he says, the Chazal support me. Chazal say that if I don't see the rebuilding of the Beis HaMikdash during my lifetime, it's as though it was destroyed now, not 2,000 years ago. Powerful. Continuing. Hine, says the Rebbe, this thought itself is in ganzen zu treiselt. He becomes, look at the Yiddish words, in ganzen means totally, zu treiselt, shook up, shake and bake, shook up. He's so taken, he's so moved, kosis. Remember kosis, grind, broken, crushed, totally crushed.
Wow.
But if the sun's out, Bet Shemesh is beautiful, it's great. Netanyahu won, Trump is here, and everything is great. Party time. No. He says, the Shechina's in Golos. I can't sleep at night. I can't eat. I'm all, I can't think properly. That's called in ganzen zertreiselt. It's a very beautiful Yiddish words. Remember those words. In ganzen, totally, completely, zertreiselt, shook up. V'gam kishehi bedarges nailas beyoser, and even if he's at a very high level, shemei etzli gilui kuz, that godliness is apparent by this fellow. Bedugmas hagilu shebes manabayis. Listen to this. Let's say he himself is a holy roller, he's a big tzaddik, and he has godliness apparent in his life. Mikol makin, nevertheless, mizeh shebechlolus ha'olam ein meir agilui. The fact that throughout the world there isn't this revelation, muchach, it proves shagam hagilui shemeir etzli, that what he has, hu gilui mukbol, is a limited experience. You can't have complete revelation if the world around you doesn't have complete revelation. Okay? You can be in Meir Sharim and Geula and in Borough Park and learn and daven and be surrounded, but you're fooling yourself. If the world around you is not inspired to God, you are lacking. But you say, I'm not. I have my hot mikveh, and I have my hot shont, and I have my comforts, and I have my rabbis and my classes. What do you mean I'm Golos? Fool. You're only one little part of the equation. You're such a little infantile part of the equation. What about going out to Manhattan and seeing what's going on? Or to Tel Aviv and see what's going on? No? No, I'm sitting in Meir Sharim or Geula or Bet Shemesh or Borough Park or Williamsburg or Los Angeles. You don't have real revelation. You have a little tiny bit, and you can convince yourself and live in a big fantasy. And you know, my friends, you all know very well, if you have that attitude, if not you, it's your kids. And if not your kids, it's your grandkids. And I can give you hundreds of examples of big rabbis, and unfortunately, their kids marry Goyim, Schwarzer, and I don't go on and on, okay? If I told you the names, you would freak out. Yeah. You're laughing. It happened already. What I'm telling you already happened. And it's continuing to happen.
I don't like this, Rabbi.
What?
I don't want you to know. I never saw him like this.
I don't believe this, Rabbi. Big rabbis do not let their kids marry God.
Ruvain, you cannot. Ruvain, this didn't begin in America. I'm studying Poland. I'm studying with my own ancestors. You can't imagine what was going on there. The assimilation starting in the 20s. The rebellion. You know, okay, so they weren't marrying goyim, so they took off their beards, they threw away the yarmulke, they threw away the sheitlach, and they became secular. So for them, they wouldn't marry a non-Jew. Okay, they had a limit. But from where they were coming, my great-grandfather had a beard to his belly button, right? All of his kids took off their beards. Now, some not all, some remained frum, some didn't remain. I'm saying what was going on. And this happened in every family. I read an account of Dr. Rabbi Hillel Zeidman, who says pre-war Europe, he says there wasn't a family that there wasn't, is an expression in Hebrew, ein bias asher ein shom meis. There isn't a home where there isn't one, at least one dead person. What does he mean? Doesn't mean dead, he means spiritually dead, that they left the fold. That's the expression. Poland, Ger, Amshinov, Alexander. You're talking about great Chasidus with everything else. And in Russia, with the Litvaks, for sure. I mean, in Slobodkin here, all over, there was, I'm just saying that. So for someone to say, I want to sit in my little corner, you're playing with fire. You're being so selfish because it's going to come back against you. I'm telling you, it is. It's just a matter of time. And we see it. So rather than get out and take away from your time and learning and go out to a kibbutz, talk to them about Torah, mitzvahs, talk to them about Hashem, reach out, invite them, and you don't have to be a Lubavitcher for this, you don't have to be a Chassid for this, you have to be a Jew that's concerned about what we're learning right here. What are we learning right here? We're learning right here that even though you yourself are inspired, but the fact that the whole world doesn't have that inspiration, that shows that your inspiration is a limited one. We'll continue tomorrow. Yes,
Rabbi,
yes.
Rabbi, I'll tell you specifically about this situation, is that I got a text this morning from my cousin in L.A. She sent me a text. She said she got an email from our uncle, we have a mutual uncle, that about a year and a half ago, the uncle, this uncle, he's on the Badatz in Yerushalayim. He's on the Eda Badatz. He has a daughter that had a baby, and we only found out about a year and a half afterwards. So we don't know if it's a boy or girl, but he sent in the email, he writes, my daughter had a baby, Mazel Tov, blah, 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 blah. Now, we know it happened like a year and a half ago because the lawyer told us something that we shouldn't have known, but we know whatever. But it took him a year and a half for this big rabbi, my uncle, to admit that his daughter had a child with another woman. Okay? A year and a half, and nobody knew. Nobody went. There was a bris. Nobody went to the bris. Sorry, not a daughter. He had a bris. Nobody from the family went to the bris. These kids are out in San Diego. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it took a year and a half for him to come clean. No, they didn't adopt her. They didn't adopt her. She actually had the baby with another woman, whatever. I'm saying, Rabbi, we don't have to talk Slobodka.
Dave, we have to finish with a good thing. Hashem should help, reach out, and not blame anybody, and just continue reaching out. We'll continue tomorrow. Zay Gesundheit.